this video, I'll just be going over a quick synopsis of the brushes that I like to use in my drawing pieces and how I edited some of them. We're gonna start this video off with the ink bleed pen. So this pen is usually my go-to for base sketches and other little, I guess, details whenever I am drawing a piece. This has the feeling of drawing with a pencil, but that finesse of drawing with a pen. One thing to note is when I'm drawing with this pen, I usually use it at around 40 to 50% opacity, and I use it using a red color. In my warped way of thinking, I believe that the messier the base sketch is, the better the finished drawing will be. Next up is the Gazinski ink pen. I said previously that I use the ink bleed pen for my base sketches, but I've also been currently using the Gazinski ink pen as well for base sketches. I did edit this pen as well. I changed the fall off and reduced it to 17% in the stroke path properties in the pen settings. I've also been using this pen to color in hair when I'm not lazy. Moving on to the lovely round and flat brush. The round and flat brushes are my go-to brushes for coloring any aspects of the drawing that I'm working on, as well as blending and shading. I really love using specifically the round brush for shading and blending. I mostly use the flat brush for coloring in stuff, and if I want a more textured blend, I will also use the flat brush for blending. Now we have my favorite brush, the medium hard airbrush. This brush is my go-to for line art, rough sketches, hair, just pretty much almost everything. I use this brush a lot. The default medium hard airbrush usually has rounded ends, so I edited it to have more of a tapered effect by going into the brush settings, moving like these little dots and closer to each other in the taper settings. I changed the size to about 79%, the opacity to its max. And then I did the same thing in the touch taper settings, making sure that the opacity is at its max. And then the size at around 72%. You also want to make sure that the tip is at sharp and the classic taper property is turned off. In the stroke path settings, you want the spacing to be at around 17%. And in the stabilization settings, you want the streamline amount to be 5%. And then you have this nice tapered brush to use. I've also done this to the round brush, which is another brush that I use for base sketches. That's pretty much it on all of the brushes that I use for my pieces. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.